Hello, I'm Luke Nella, and welcome to Best Replays of the Week. April will be a month where we shall go through lots of older games to ensure we only use the freshest replays in the future. We don't want everyone who was submitting over the last few months to feel ignored after all. Anyway, this episode we have a Jagdpanther II stunt driving, a scout who doesn't need a scout tank, some very dangerous baguettes, and a whole lot more. Let's go! We will start with an unbreachable wall of steel in this replay from the American region, as Ty Moody 390 takes the T110E5 into battle on fiery Salient. The American heavy tank is a balanced design, rather than a heavy pile of armored steel. Parts of the front are well protected, however, and Ty is pretty safe as long as the enemies can be faced head-on. The Bulldog doesn't want to play along, but Ty outdrives the light tank, even using it as cover from the others. Even so, the steel wall is a little dented now. Then again, the west flank is now clear. Ty crosses over to the east and fights the remaining enemies at the railway crossing. The opponents fall with no losses to the steel wall's allies. It's a victory! 4k in damage and assistance is nice, but it's those 17 block shots with nearly 7k potential damage that's really impressive. Well played, Ty! Next we have a fine example of scouting with a bottom-tier medium tank from a bloody newbie. Their words, not mine. This one comes from the EU region. The battle is a tier 8 encounter, again on the fiery Salient. Newbie's E8 looks a little small in the lineup, and it heads straight for the infamous hill which dominates the map. The agility and gun depression of the E8 comes in handy as Moody climbs onto the slope and hangs on like a tick from the enemy team's backside. And this tick is spotting everything. Allied fire demolishes the revealed enemies. When the hill is clear, Newbie is free to harass the enemies below, keeping them away from the capture zone. Newbie moves forward in search of more targets, but the enemies have had enough and the Sherman blows up. It doesn't really matter though, as their capture is done and the game ends in victory. That's how you scout carry with a bottom tier med, 7.5k assisted damage and quite a few hits from the little howitzer. Very nice. Next we have a Confederate in a hurry. Slayer Rowe drives the speedy FCM 50-ton on Ensk and seems intent on finishing the fight in record time. First, a charge down the eastern flank, killing the arty through a brick wall and wrecking the base defenders with a couple of wrecks. Slayer softens up an IS-3 for the Allies and throws a shell at the remaining pair of enemies. They are rather tough and the FCM is low on health. Maybe a little detour is in order. The hit points are used up, but Slayer has time to put in one more shell into both enemies. The battle ends in victory with less than 6 minutes on the clock. A nice aggressive Confederate. It's easy to see who the hero of the match was. Well played! Moving on from one French tank to another. This episode's Top Gun features the Baguette of Death, the AMX CDC, driven by Cobra 6. Cobra lands in a Tier 9 battle on Redshift. The early part of the match consists of cautious long-range combat, as you would expect with a thin-skinned CDC. Cobra picks up a couple of kills and deals a fair bit of damage, but the Allied team is melting away. Before long, the crispy French medium is all alone, facing 5 enemies. Not only that, but the tank is well below half health, and 2 of those enemies are Tier 9.
It's time to unleash that Top Gun fury!
The IS-6 is taken out quickly, but the T-30 spots our hero and fires from ambush. Luckily, the enemy's aim is a little off, and Cobra finishes it off with a sniper shot at 400 meters. And then there were 3. The T-37 spots for the artillery, but the shell doesn't connect. The scout itself dies without firing a shot, and an ambush by the T-44 fails. This would have been an even fight if the enemy didn't have artillery support. Cobra wins the duel with 3 hits to 1. And the enemies are down to the single high-tier SPG. There you are, the arty takes some killing, but once the shotgun attempt fails, the outcome is certain. Victory with the Kalabanovs! Nice 5-on-1 finish there, showcasing the endgame power of the CDC. Enjoy your prize. This episode's sniper hunts with somewhat unusual gear. Most tend to go for high-precision weapons, but Ryle21 prefers the short-barreled grenade launcher of the T49. Let's see how it works out. The first shots show the devastating effect this weapon has on lightly armored opponents, and it doesn't look like Ryle has any trouble with hitting the small targets. No time is spent sitting in a bush either. The T49 darts in and out of position, and even fighting in close quarters. When artillery zones in, however, it's time to run. The enemy team is in the lead, but the sniper is just getting warmed up. The T49 roams where it wants to, landing every shell. The only missed shot of the match is this one, but that mistake is easy to fix. The shots fired at the second SPG have to be seen to be believed. Sadly, the enemies run out, and the match comes to an end. Great shooting, Ryle. The force must be strong with you. Talking about the force, Darth Vader teams up with Super Unicum. This should be good. The battle takes place on mines, and the protagonists are driving a pair of those AMX Death Baguettes we saw in the earlier replay. The speedy machines rush to the center hill and sweep it clear of enemies. This gives them a great opportunity to pour fire on the enemies guarding their base. More opposing tanks arrive to the entrance of the hill, but that's just an opportunity to do more damage. When the dust settles, the dynamic duo are up 4 kills each. The rest is almost a cleanup operation. Vader and Unicum split up the remaining targets, and when the last enemy is finished off with a ram, they end the battle with 6 kills each. Beautiful teamwork there, and making good use of the CDC's mobility. Congratulations! Crucial contributions come in many forms, but they all boil down to maximum effort. Detrimental and the Jagdpanther II give it their all in the following battle for the Abbey. The first clash happens on the western flank. First, that classic TD ambush, followed by fighting over the high ground. When the Allied position is overrun, Detrimental balances the big TD on the edge of the cliff and fights on like a cornered animal. The Scorpion has a deadly advantage, but Detrimental finds a way to survive and to fight back. Impressive! A short drive under the water and the Jagdpanther is back in the fight. Detrimental drives up to the Abbey, dodging enemy shells, and the last ally dies in the home base. The game is 1 against 6. What follows is an amazing killing spree, taking out 3 opponents with 4 shells and knocking the stuffing out of the Oni. It goes for a capture, and 1 more shell puts it down for good. That leaves 2, and the Jagdpanther goes on the hunt. The KV is found, and Detrimental blows it up without stopping to aim. That's 7 kills with 1 more to go. The Jagdpanther makes best speed to the capture circle, but it's 3 seconds too late. There's just one way to win this now. Detrimental drives to the middle of the map and finds the rival TD at full health and 20 seconds left on the clock. The shot connects, the return shot is dodged, and the time runs out. Damn. Sometimes even a heroic effort isn't enough. Still, this was definitely a crucial contribution. Well played. Good effort. The last replay of this catch-up episode features today's defender, Hildebrand, who drives the Spähpanzer SP1C at the swamp. A Tier 8 battle is excellent news for this hard-hitting light tank, and Hilda spends the first half of the battle dishing out damage with the autoloader. When a capture warning goes off, the Spähpanzer races for the home base, but an ally is already there to deal with the problem. back to the enemy base. It's too late to save the ally, but revenge is the next best thing. A lucky engine fire kills the IS-3 just in time. Another capture, and the same ally comes through with a reset shot once again. It's the last thing they'll do in this match, however, and Hilda is left alone against a full-health top-tier heavy, as well as an ISU. The T-34 has its hull covered, so Hilda needs to find a better angle, and fast. The ISU-152 is encountered along the way, but a tracking shot leaves it helpless and on fire. That was quick. That's a bit better. The enemy is angled and in partial cover, but damaging the track is enough for a reset. It's still at full health though. Now this should do the trick. It looks like the enemy didn't know which way to turn, and 3 heat shells punch clean through the armor. The blind shot misses, but the other 2 cause further damage to the heavy. The T-34 realizes that staying in the circle means death, and drives out to do battle. There are 2 AP shells left, but 1 should be enough. The enemy should keep driving, but instead it turns to fight and makes the final shot easy. GG. David beating Goliath there with a 90mm autoloader for a sling. Well played, defender. As for the people upset that I'm now saying Tiga instead of Tiger, all pronunciations are attempted in their local language. Keyword, attempted. This is so fans of the show from all over the world can have their moment. So relax, have fun, and I'll see you next time. And when the last enemy is fished off? That's a unique way of saying. As you would expect with the but they all